from the production studios of Epic Financial Strategies here in Red Bank, New Jersey, we are Infinity X, giving a stage and microphone to human excellence in the constant and never-ending pursuit of creating infinite sales opportunities by merging ecosystems and having conversations with megapreneurs. Folks, I am beyond jacked up for today's session. We are blessed to have Chris Walsh in the house today. Hey, Chris, how you doing today, brother?
What's going on, buddy? How are you?
I'm doing terrific. Doing terrific. Thank you for coming in. Folks, we are pre-recording this evening, or this afternoon, I should say. So if you do have questions, there won't be a chat available. Please post your questions in the replay on YouTube. We are Infinity X YouTube, and the questions will be answered directly from a DM. Replay will be available YouTube, as well as Spotify, Apple iTunes, and we are infinityx.com. So this afternoon, we're joined by Chris Walsh. And Chris, to say that Chris has the pulse on not only real estate here in the New Jersey marketplace, but nationally, would be putting it lightly. In 2020, Chris was ranked number one in all of RE/MAX for real estate sales. He's done over $750 million of real estate sales, over 1,200 homes, and is also hosting a bi-weekly session called The Leader's Edge, which we're going to get to real deep. But Chris, it's again a pleasure to have you here this afternoon, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Got it. You got it. And so, folks, I always say that to know where you're going, you have to know where you come from. So, Chris, where did the journey begin for you?
The journey. It's interesting, man. My journey, I mean, as far as business goes, I always knew that business was what I wanted to do. Business was where my head was at. I just never really knew what the proper fit was, I guess you could say. I was a musician for years,
really?
Actually. Yes, I played the drums in a band. We were extremely active. We did touring. We did the whole thing, man.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
That was really, I thought, like where my head was at. I was gonna maybe get into like music production, something like that, and maybe build a business out of that. But it was weird. Like in the midst of all that, I wound up meeting somebody that was a real estate agent, and just having conversation with this guy, I just was there was something about, there was like this allure to all the things he was telling me, and
yeah.
I was just, I don't know, like a light bulb went off. I had this epiphany, and literally within 2 weeks of that conversation, I was licensed, and I was trying to figure out the real estate business, and that was back in 2003. I quickly just started networking. I almost was using like the same sort of promotional tactics I was using with my music,
right,
and getting my music out there that I started using to get my my name out there for real estate. And that quickly evolved into 2005, 2006. And then in 2007, I decided to go out on my own. I purchased a RE/MAX territory in late 2007. I closed in January of 2008. And then in late 2008, as you guys may remember,
oh yeah,
the sky opened, the world ended. I lost every single one of my agents.
Almost wasn't a dollar in the ATM machine,
It was like the world was ending. I said,
yeah.
Oh my God, what did I do?
Yeah.
And that was late 2008. So luckily, we talk about adaptation and evolution in business. And at that time, it really was a crisis. Especially if you were a real estate agent at the time or a mortgage broker. Banks weren't lending.
Yep.
The market quickly tanked from, let's say, September, October of 2008 through 2009. The market declined probably 30-40% across the board.
Yep.
And you could not sell real estate. I mean, how could you? Everybody was upside down, especially the fact that a lot of these people were obtaining subprime mortgages.
Subprimes, yeah.
That's why they were in trouble. They never should have gotten the money to begin with.
Isn't that unbelievable?
It's crazy. And a lot of these people borrowed over 100% of the value of their home at the time when they purchased. So they were upside down by 30-40%. Now, what happened was, and what got me through this time, and got me through it in a great way, was back in 2005, I had met this individual who specialized in short sales.
Okay.
And I didn't know what a short sale was. Most people didn't know what a short sale was.
Right.
And a short sale, he explained to me, was selling a home for less than what's owed to the bank. So I was like, how is that possible? You know, how does somebody sell a house for less than what's owed and the bank just forgives the difference? And he was like, yeah, the bank just forgives the difference. I'm like, and that's legal? And he says, yeah. So anyway, that was in 2005. I never forgot that conversation, you know? So, and that's why I always tell everybody, like, relationships are so important. Like, the businesses that we're in, the business that you're in, relationships are everything. So I remembered this conversation with this guy. I remembered his name. So I reached out to him at this time because I knew a ton of people that could not sell their homes at the time. So I reached out to him and I said, hey, like, are you still doing this short sale thing? He said, yeah. So basically I said, if I start bringing you candidates that are, you know, short sale qualified, they have a financial hardship, you know, could you get them out of these, you know, negative amortization loans where they're upside down and all this other stuff? So he said, yeah. So I told you, I lost all my agents, right? So I recruited a bunch of my buddies from the music scene that I knew.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, these like these crazy kids that I knew from like the punk rock scene. And I got them licensed. I taught them the business in a very crammed course type of way. And we just started cranking out short sales. That became our business. I started using this individual. His name was Vic. Used him for the next like 3 years. And when everybody else was trying to figure out how to sell a house, we were selling hundreds of homes. And we had like banner years. 2009, 10, and 11, we got a lot of people out of a lot of great people out of very bad situations.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of able and willing buyers into some great investments. So fast forward to 2013, when things really acclimated and came back to normal, who do you think these people called?
I'm looking at
them as an agent.
Oh, yeah.
So 2013, 14, 15, it was like the phones are ringing off the hook. We started really focusing on not only cranking out production, but we started focusing on building up the brokerage, which we did. We built it up to, I built it up to, I say we because now I have a partner.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was a single broker owner and salesperson. So I built it up to about 45 agents on my own. And then by 2016, I brought on a partner, and together, present day, we have 92 agents currently. We did just leave RE/MAX in 2021.
Yep.
That was a big deal for us.
Yep.
So now we run a mega icon team at EXP. There's 92 of us. And what we did was when we made the move from RE/MAX to EXP, we joined forces with 2 other RE/MAX broker owners, brought over about 385 agents total from RE/MAX to EXP.
Yep.
And that total now, which makes up the Leaders Edge network that we're going to talk about, that total now is about 525 agents.
Unbelievable, folks. We are Infinity X with a stage and microphone for human excellence. And, you know, Chris, I want to dig deeper into the innovation that you shared with all of us in getting into the short sale market there, right? Because, for folks, if you didn't, or if you are not familiar with how challenging of an economic time 2008 was, particularly for people that were in the real estate business, whether they were lenders or real estate agents, and the whole world in general, quite frankly, you must have been living under a rock, because it was, the world we were in the midst of financial collapse, right?
I mean, some huge institutions went out of business.
Yep.
Like that term, too big to fail. It was like the Titanic, right? It was like too big to ever sink, right?
Right.
These companies, Bear Stearns, Lehman Brothers, I mean, they just tanked. it was like one day they were in business, the next day they were just gone.
But I think it's so important
crazy.
that I think it's so important that you shared about innovation, right, and about referencing a past dialogue, adaptation, right, and leveraging relationships as well. One of the areas, being a financial services company, one of the areas that we are really, really, really proud of is how we've been able to innovate and leverage relationships and partnerships to drive opportunities to us. And it's a little bit, it's not conventional. There's nobody in the industry that's doing what we're doing, but it sounds like there was nobody that was doing what you were doing at that time.
Nobody.
And so
people started to do it, but it was like we had first mover advantage, which in business, that's everything.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, sometimes, it's like MySpace existed before Facebook.
Right.
And, MySpace, Facebook just did it better, right?
Right.
They sort of like took the, okay, MySpace did this, social media, blah, 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 but they just made it bigger and better, and they made it more user-friendly and what have you. So people started to do short sales, but by the time, when I say people, agents started to do short sales, but by the time, like, the masses caught on to it, it was already watered down. The banks had already put these like automated systems in place, and we had actual relationships with people at the banks, with their loss mitigation departments. So when we were doing them early on, it's like we had points of contact. We were able to streamline the process. We were able to get these deals done and done in a way that was very it was just very beneficial to the client, and the client was the homeowner that was underwater. Right. So by the time the banks really, took stronghold of the short sale world, I guess you could say, it just, we had gotten out at that point. It's like when the other agents were getting in, we were getting
You're already evacuating out of it.
It was just too late,
What was marketing like when you were first kind of like launching your brand, and during that decade of the 2000s for you? Because marketing is obviously so much different today than it was years ago. What were areas that you focused on that helped you to accelerate?
Well, it's funny, like the branding that I've done, like to present day, the branding that I've done today is so much different than when I first started out. The branding that I did when I first started out was all experimental, So I'd say the first 10 years that I was in the business, I didn't really have like a brand. It was just my name, I didn't have like, the Pepsi, or like whatever, like the brand, It was just Chris Walsh. It was just my name, and I was just trying to make a name for myself. And it's sort of like the name started to carry. I was trying to market in places where I started marketing in a place where I grew up, so I had some organic ties, I guess you could say there. And I just got creative. I started marketing to students that I went to high school with, like classmates of mine, things like that I knew still lived local, parents of theirs, things like that. So I mean, I really took it down to the basics. I made a list of 100 people that I knew. I called it my like Power 100 list. And I made a list of 100 people that I knew, their names, their addresses, their phone numbers, their emails, all that. And I just started hitting those people 28 times a year. I learned early on that, I forget where I read it, but the key to staying in front of somebody is you have to hit them 28 times a year. So I started hitting these people 28 times a year. And I'll tell you what, I still do that today. I have the same list. It's now grown to about 800 people. Right. And it's way more refined. I'm not just like throwing, stuff at the wall. It's like now I have a list of 800 people, and those 800 people on a referral basis probably account for 50% of my annual business. So, it works.
Unbelievable.
It works. And, people tell a lot of the marketing that I do, I mean, I ignited and launched a brand, like a real brand, in 2013. Going into 2014. And that is really what took my business to the next level. So I hired a business coach, which I had never done. I hired a business coach in 2013. And if I could give anybody a piece of advice, it would be align with someone that's done it. Whenever I want to do something in my business or in my life, I seek out someone who's done exactly what I want to do. And then I go and I try to figure out how they did it.
Entrepreneurs out there, take note. Listen to what Chris is sharing right now, right? Because many people are too afraid to invest back into their business and hire people like a business coach or to innovate. Innovation sometimes costs money. That's what scares people away from that.
At the time when I hired this business coach, okay, I had just found out that my wife at the time was pregnant with our first child.
Yeah.
So in 2013, I hired a business coach. The reason that I hired a business coach was mostly because I had just found out that my wife was pregnant with our first daughter.
Okay.
And, the panic kind of set in because I always felt like I was running on fumes.
Yeah.
How am I going to crank out what I need to crank out in a given day while also being a good father and a good husband and all that, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
I was just like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And at that time, this guy actually reached out to me, and it was just like, it was fate, it was just perfect timing.
Yeah.
Then he gave me, and at the time I was doing really well. I was doing probably 25 million in sales by myself annually, which probably equates to, I don't know, $600,000 in gross commission.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And I was
most people would sign up for that now.
Yeah, and I was 32 at the time, so I thought I was on top of the world.
Sure.
I was like, oh, this is great. What do I need anybody's help? Then I found out about my daughter, that we were expecting my daughter, and this guy had just reached out to me, this business coach, and I did some research. He was definitely qualified, and it's funny, you just talked about reinvesting into your business.
Yeah.
When he told me his price, he told me he wanted $30,000 to coach me, and I was like, whoa,
Yep.
like $30,000.
Yep.
$5,000 a month for 6 months. That was his program.
Right.
And I really didn't buy into it. I was like, $30,000. Why would I give you $30,000?
Because was there just a lack of perceived value?
There was.
Yeah.
It was just. It just seemed like a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
I had never spent that much money.
You'd never
on
done it
anything.
before, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I said, but he basically said, like, look, he took a dive into my business just a little bit and basically told me like everything I was doing wrong. He was able to tell me like, hey, you're not managing your time properly. You're not working a calendar properly. You're not delegating properly. If you were to master all of these things, you would accomplish the goal that you're the obstacle that you feel you're faced with right now,
right,
which that you're sort of concerned about, that you're quote unquote panicking about. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. Okay. I was always a big spender as far as like reinvesting into my business. This was just a little different. I never hired a coach before.
Right.
So, I hired this guy for 6 months. And when I tell you it changed my life, I mean, it changed my life. It was unbelievable. Night and day difference. I managed my time. I started delegating. Delegating is a very painful thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a very painful craft.
People are afraid to.
Okay.
People refuse to grow, or people don't grow as a result of lack of delegation.
The reason that we are where we're at is because we are A-type. We're control freaks. Mm-hmm. We're very detail oriented, and to give up that control, we perceive to ourselves as sort of being disorganized or weakness almost. Like if you're not in control, you're weak, right? Mm. But I got to tell you, the best thing I ever did for my business was master the art of delegation. Mm. Okay? Mastering the art of delegation gave me the freedom to expand my business. And I believe in the 90-10 rule. It's actually something I learned from this coach I worked with. The 90-10 rule. I wanted to get my business to the point where I could spend 90% of my business servicing my existing customers and clients, mm-hmm. because I only have to spend 10% of my business prospecting new business. Mm. All right?
Wow. Okay.
Whereas before, I was spending 90% of my time prospecting for new business and only 10% of my time servicing my existing clients.
So
the
Chris,
best business that you can get is from your existing customer base.
Your book of business. Absolutely.
So if your service is 5-star across the board and you're giving your customers the solutions and the service that you want to give them and that they expect, they're going to give you endless referrals.
So Chris, give the good folks out there an example of some things that you immediately delegated that started, it was like overnight, it was starting to show you ROI.
Oh man. Some of the things that I delegated. I mean, what I would do was I would classify my time. Okay, so I would break it down into A time, B time, C time. A time were my money-making activities, B time were my administrative duties and my administrative responsibilities, and C time was my personal time, my time to spend either by myself, go to the gym, do whatever I want to do, hang out with my daughter, hang out with my wife, go on a family trip, like whatever, that was my time. It just so happens my name starts with C, so C time for Chris time, But so A time, B time, C time. So what I did was I started delegating all of the things that sort of channeled through the B time, the administrative duties. So responding and monitoring and responding to emails, things like that.
That can be outsourced.
Absolutely, that could be outsourced. They could respond on your behalf. People think the emails are coming from you, but they're not. They're coming from your right-hand person, whatever. The other thing is investing in a very good quality assistant. People think that they are going to be able to hire an assistant for $25,000 a year. Let me tell you something. That's not the case. If you hire an assistant for $25,000 a year, you're going to get a $25,000 a year assistant, okay? And you're going to get like a level, I don't know, C- assistant. If you want a really good assistant that's going to speak like you and deliver your message and see your vision and execute and integrate your vision, you got to pay for a quality assistant.
So did you hire slow and fire fast? Or,
No,
or are you still working with the same one?
I'm still, honestly, I am still my right-hand person. I inherited with the company that I purchased. The territory that I purchased was an existing territory. There was a woman there, and I was like, oh, my God, first order of business, I got to get rid of this lady. You know what I mean? This woman has proven to be my greatest asset.
Rock star.
Okay? Yeah. She's still with me today. She knows everything about me, everything about my life, personal and business. I trust her wholeheartedly with everything. And, with her support, she's just been great. And, we work as a very, very, very powerful team. She knows how I like things done. She responds on my behalf. And, she just knows what to do, and I quickly saw the talent and the potential. And when you see talent and when you see potential, you got to run with it.
Absolutely. And Chris, how long was it? Because I think one of the things that scares people away on whether it's hiring a coach and or making an investment into their craft is they want that dopamine hit, right? They want the immediate gratification, the immediate ROI. How long was it until you really started seeing tangible evidence that having the business coach and really scaling the way that you or investing it in the way that you were?
Let me even back up further. So when I started in the business, it was 2003 going into 2004. Okay, very similar market to the one we're in today. Okay, low inventory. High demand. The reason there was high demand back then was because people could get, there was all the deregulation with mortgages.
Absolutely.
Everybody could get a mortgage.
And rates weren't even that high.
Rates weren't that high. They were higher than they are today, but they weren't that high. They were around 6%, maybe something like that. First house I ever bought was close to 8%. It was 7 5/8.
Wow.
Was my rate. And that was like a good rate.
Most of the people that are watching this program have never heard of a mortgage being at that rate. It's unbelievable.
I mean, just today I was watching on the news, they were saying mortgage rates today are at a 12-year high. It's crazy. I don't think that's going to have any impact on the market, but that's another conversation.
I look forward to diving into that a little bit too.
But So, when I started in the business in 2003 going into 2004, it was the same market that we're in today, basically. The same rules applied. And I didn't have any relationships back then. So I say on the Zoomcast that we do, they're actually weekly that we do.
Oh, okay.
I say all the time that right now we are in a relationship-driven business. Okay, a relationship-driven market. Okay, the climate of the market is like, I know a lot of agents that are out there and a lot of business people. It's just like in any industry, But I know that any business that you're in, it's all about relationships, and you should preserve those relationships, and you should treat people with respect and consideration and professional courtesy. And I mean, the past 2 years, I've been cashing in on every relationship I've established in the business over the last 18 years. And, I've warned so many agents over the years, like, yo, you got to be like, you got to be cool. You can't be screaming at people. You can't be, you know, acting like a maniac.
Comes around, goes around.
It's going to come back around.
Absolutely, 1,000%.
And today,
yeah,
I see it. Those agents are sweating, man. They're hurting.
Yep.
You know, and they're hurting because they don't have those relationships to lean on.
Yep.
You know, and when you're going in on a multi-offer situation and there's 15 other bids, you know, if you have a really good relationship with that listing agent and they know what you're capable of and they have faith in you that you're going to get the deal done, there's a very high chance they're going to go with your offer. You know, so, you know, I've been pulling favors, and I've been also, people have been cashing in on relationships with me.
Yeah.
It works both ways.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I could tell you that the market was crazy back then. It was very, very difficult for me to get into the business. I was 23, 24 at the time. I looked like I was 16, okay? So it was tough, man. Back then was different, you know? I had so many roadblocks to overcome and so many obstacles in front of me because I looked like I was 16, okay? The average age of the realtor back then was 55, okay? Today, the average age of the realtor is probably 28. It's much, much different industry we're in today. There were no TV shows. Real estate wasn't cool. My friends made fun of me for wanting to get into real estate. The guys that were in that band that I was in were like mocking me left and right that I was leaving music to go work with soccer moms and old people, you know? And I was like, no, I see potential in this business.
You had vision for it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And all I needed to do was sell one house. I sold 98 Elizabeth Street in Keyport, New Jersey.
Oh, look at that. Yeah.
I mean, Jesus. That changed my life. I'm like getting goosebumps right now. That it was like the nostalgic, you know, like, wow. But yeah, I sold that one house and I got paid a check for $2,800. That was my cut.
Yep.
It was the most money I had ever received in one shot.
Yep.
And I was like, whoa, like, okay.
This is real.
I sold one house.
Right.
And immediately it's like the business instinct kicked in. I mean, I've always had this entrepreneurial mind since I'm a little kid. You know, I was always running the candy stand, running the lemonade stand, hiring kids in the neighborhood to come work at my little lemonade stand company. Like, you know, my mother talks about it all the time. Yep. And so, you know, the business instinct took over and I saw an opportunity that was scalable, you know, and I'm still trying to master it and still trying to scale it bigger and bigger today.
Folks, we are Infinity X Stage and Microphone Human Excellence. Chris Walsh, joined by Chris Walsh. And so, Chris, fast forward the clock, right?
Yeah.
You survived 2008. Then you take off on this trajectory, which is just absolutely massive. I mean, each and every single year, leveling up base camp, increasing the size of the staff. Sounds like you outgrew RE/MAX, right? And then you make the strategic decision to move your business and ultimately form this mega team at EXP. Share with us a little bit around that thought process, and then scale up to where you're at, where you exist today.
Sure. So pandemic changed everything. I mean, when we decided to leave RE/MAX, a lot of people said, like, why would you leave? I mean, you guys, I mean, you're the number one guy. You have one of the top agencies on the East Coast for RE/MAX. Why would you leave? And that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand is, like, you don't leave when it's bad necessarily. You leave when you see the writing on the wall that a change is needed.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
So I saw a need for change on the very, very near horizon. Okay? And not everybody saw my vision. We did have a 100% conversion rate of all of our agents. They all came along. We were very, very passionate about the vision that we had. And, you know, people really believed in it. And I believe that we made the right decision to leave. It did not come with consequence. We broke a contract that we still had 3.5 years left on. Yep. We had to deal with 2 pretty large lawsuits with RE/MAX Corporate out of Denver. That was not fun, but we got through that. So 2021, we made this move. We got sued twice. We landed at EXP.
In the middle of a pandemic.
In the middle of a pandemic. We did, prior to that, negotiate and work out and come to an agreement with another mega brand in the United States. And they actually made us an acquisition offer.
Really?
Whereas the move to EXP, we dissolved the RE/MAX and we just went to EXP.
And you just moved on.
And I'll tell you, the reason that we did that was because the pandemic changed everything.
Yep.
Look around you.
Yep. Yeah, I'll talk about that in a few.
The pandemic changed everything.
Absolutely,
okay?
brother.
And, the reality of the situation is I saw the changes that were happening and the evolution that was taking place. And I just saw that RE/MAX, as great of a company as they were for the 15 years that we were there, we had a tremendous amount of success there. But I just did not think that they were the right fit for the future of where we were going with our business. I felt that EXP, they were a newer company.
Yeah.
They're more of a tech-based company.
Yep.
They don't have all of the brick and mortar overhead that these other traditional companies have. So I saw them reinvesting all of that money and that revenue that they were taking in, not into office locations, but rather into their technology, giving their agents, better growth potential for the future.
Yep.
I guess you could say.
Yep.
Better comp plans, equity share plans, the ability to grow downline and build teams. There's some guys out there that have downlines of thousands and thousands of agents.
Yeah.
So I saw all of this as a tremendous opportunity for our agents to, have multi-streams of income. And I firmly believe, this is me now maybe speaking a little propaganda, but I firmly believe that 5 years from now, every realtor will be an EXP agent. And it'll just be just a matter of who are you aligned with at EXP.
Yeah. Brand within a brand almost.
When you say real estate, it's just going to be known that you're with EXP.
Right.
Because where the future is going, it's like the Netflix Blockbuster takeover right now in real estate. Okay? It's like people didn't believe it. We're always going to play these tapes. We're always going to play these DVDs, whatever it was at the time.
Yep.
Nobody believed it. Like Blockbuster had an opportunity to buy Netflix for what, $40 million or something like that?
Yep.
What's Netflix worth today? I don't know, 400 billion or something, right? I don't know, maybe 700 billion. I have no idea. But the reality is that the real estate industry is changing rapidly, very fast. The newer agents that are coming into the business are 18 to 25 years old. They're all, tech savvy.
Yeah.
They understand how to, do their research very easily from their iPhone. They go watch YouTube videos. They go watch, who's doing what. If they're taking the advice that I was speaking at the beginning of this, if you want to do something and you want to be good at doing something, go find someone who's doing it, okay? Find someone who's doing exactly what you want to be doing and learn what they're doing. Maybe reach out to them, talk to them, ask them what they're doing, and follow their lead or follow their model.
Sure.
Least,
Yeah. We are Infinity X Stage and Microphone with Human Excellence. As I mentioned, we have been blessed to have Chris Walsh here on the stage.
Thanks for having me.
Chris, you're blowing minds here, brother. And you talked a lot about the change in business during the pandemic.
Yes.
Right. And you also mentioned YouTube, right?
Yeah.
And how people can go and essentially match and model. Years ago, you had to go to a Tony Robbins seminar in order to be able to, get proximity and or education on business mastery. Now you can just jump onto YouTube, right? Now I would argue it's not the same experience by any stretch of the imagination.
But there is some really powerful content on YouTube.
But let's talk about that for a moment. So in 2019,
Yep.
my partner Rob Gill formed a business partnership with Chris Crone.
Yeah.
And that all stemmed from a YouTube video in which we saw Chris speaking about how he leverages life insurance to buy real estate.
Sure.
And that prompted Rob to engage Chris in a conversation
I'd love
about
to actually talk to him about that.
Absolutely. Listen, brother, we'll go deep on that. You got my word on that one. But what Chris does probably as well as anybody I've ever seen is monetizes his influence, right? And not only focuses in on real estate, but on other business verticals, including a partnership with a company like ours, where as a result of that proximity and that relationship, we've scaled up to where we get, a couple thousand opportunities to have conversations each and every single month and continues to expand and grow. It's really, really exciting. Wow. Here's what I would say, though. that happened during COVID,
Yeah.
right? That happened and that elevated
Yeah.
during a pandemic when financial advisors and real estate agents, they couldn't be face-to-face with people,
yeah.
right? And so we had to innovate in a time when people couldn't innovate.
Half the agents, I think, were at home drinking wine all day watching Netflix. you
Yeah.
know? I mean, in their pajamas, because they were like, oh, nobody wants to buy real estate. Nobody wants to, nobody wants to meet in person. And I got to tell you, that's crazy. I was doing listing appointments via Zoom with people.
Yeah.
I was selling real estate during the pandemic. I mean, 2020, I had a banner year, as you mentioned when we opened. I mean, I'm not bragging, but like I was the #1 individual agent in the state of New Jersey for RE/MAX, and there was some serious competition that year. And that again, it was like things were great, but that's when I also saw the world was changing.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole reason that we went to EXP, which is more of a virtual based company, and we kept our brick and mortar locations.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We didn't abandon ship, so to speak, to like cut overhead all of a sudden. We did this because we wanted the infrastructure of what EXP offered that RE/MAX did not offer. We wanted to break down the walls that we were confined by, and we wanted to be able to reach agents that were outside of our marketplace, whereas we couldn't do that with RE/MAX.
Right.
And I saw with, why do you think everybody started investing in Zoom stock? You know
Sure.
what I mean? Because you saw that everybody was using Zoom, and everybody's using these online virtual-based platforms to communicate.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, well, obviously that's where the future's going. And once you started hearing about corporations in New York City that were closing up their headquarters, and like that people were never going to be returning to work,
right?
That was like a dead giveaway that the world was changed forever.
But not negatively. Not negatively.
No,
like
I'm not saying negatively at all.
It totally expanded your stage and microphone.
Absolutely.
Right? Because now
it wasn't negative at all. What it did was it gave, I mean, if you were paying attention, it gave you it was evidence that, the world was shifting to a more, listen, pandemic did what a lot of these corporations probably wanted to do for the last decade. But implementing change is one of the hardest things to do as a business owner.
Isn't that the truth?
Whether you're a small business or you're a corporation, okay?
Yep.
So the pandemic, really, what COVID did was it just forced all of these mega companies, like, hey, it's not us making these changes, COVID, right?
Right.
So they just like shifted gears and they did exactly what they wanted to do. They fulfilled their vision and their dream, so to speak. And they got everybody to work from home. They got to get rid of all of their, corporate space.
Yep.
They're probably saving hundreds of millions of dollars a year.
Absolutely.
Okay. And a lot of people aren't going back to work, or if they are, it's on a limited basis. And just, things evolved, and it takes sometimes crises for evolution to take place. Right?
We are Infinity X stage and microphone. You have been getting dimes, golden nuggets from Chris Walsh, the the Leader's Edge. You've got 56,000 followers on Instagram.
So
where do they find you?
Instagram is at The Real Estate Leader. And then we also have our network goes by The Leader's Edge. We do Leader's Edge Zoomcasts once a week. We do them every Tuesday, 11 a.m. You can check us out, Join Leader's Edge on Instagram. It's at Join Leader's Edge.
At Join Leader's Edge.
And we do Zoomcast every week. Anybody's welcome to come on. Whether you're an agent, whether you're an aspiring agent, whether you're a top agent, you're always going to get a takeaway from these Zooms. I guarantee it. I promise you. We drop a lot of great content. We give you actionable items that you could take away and apply to your own business. And we do this every week. It's sort of a value add, or we're trying to give value back to the industry as a whole. Whether you're in our network at EXP or you're at Coldwell Banker or Sotheby's or whatever, everybody's welcome to hop on. All you have to do is go to what is our fucking thing? It's just, all you have to do is go on to leadersedgezoom.com and you'll go right into the Zoom. So there's no passcode, there's nothing like that. And so every week we do these Zooms. We drop a lot of great knowledge, a lot of great content. It's all industry relevant, and it's a lot of business in general content that we offer. But a tremendous amount of value. We're really proud of it. We've put a lot of time, effort into this, and we pre-program everything. We have a group discussion and group huddle beforehand, so it's very organized and very formatted, and it's very value packed.
Folks, we are Infinity X replay on weareinfinityx.com. We are Infinity X YouTube, Apple, Spotify, you name it, we're out there. We've been joined today for part 1. And I want to stress this, part 1 of Chris Walsh. You have not seen the end of this beast. He's going to be back on the Infinity X stage. And in part 2, we're going to be centered and focused in because Chris is not only crushing it in the EXP space, folks, but he's a megapreneur. He's an investor in business. He's innovating. He's moving into verticals that you wouldn't see coming, folks. So stay tuned because Chris is going to join us again. But the other piece, and I know it's the piece that everybody's out there dying to hear, and he spoke on it a little bit before, what's going on with this real estate market, right? Interest rates are going higher. Inflation's at a 40-plus year high in the United States. People are afraid. We're going to go deep into your market, demographics, what's, listen, nobody has a crystal ball here, right? But
it's and it's interesting hearing everybody's theories about where the market is going. Is there going to be a pullback? Is there going to be a crash?
Right.
Is this a bubble? I saw the same news segment today about rates being at a 12-year high.
Yeah.
They were referring to this market as a bubble, and I don't know. Is it a bubble or is it not?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Folks, stay tuned. Chris is going to go deep into that.
Yeah, I would love to.
And Chris, it's been a real pleasure to have you on today.
Definitely. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, absolutely. I've really enjoyed the time. Folks, again, this is pre-recorded. If you do have a question for Chris, if you're in his marketplace, if you want to get involved with EXP, if you want to just pick his brain about what he's doing and how you build out a real estate brand, drop that question in the YouTube chat. Followed up. This video will be posted relatively quickly.
Yeah, and I'm always receptive to DMs on Instagram at The Real Estate Leader. And, definitely feel free to hit me up. And, I'll definitely respond and get back to you.
Thank you, Chris, for joining us this afternoon, for really bringing the value, bringing the heat. Folks, we are bringing new and exciting conversations each and every single week here on Tuesdays. Go to weareinfinityx.com for replay. We are Infinity X YouTube. And until next week, when we're joined by another exciting speaker, this is David Harder. We are Infinity X saying have a good afternoon.
Thanks again, Dave.
Thanks, Chris.